Alright, so here you can use the quadratic formula. It's kind of cumbersome because in this one, there's a C missing. In this one, there's a B missing. Okay? So I wouldn't use a quadratic formula with either of them. What I would do is just solve using your solving techniques, SAD/MAD, right? So here we would start with GCF though, right? So we want to factor it if we can, okay? With this one, I can factor it because I see that an x, good, and a 4 comes out of both of them, right? So if I want, I could take 4x out, or I could just start with x, right? Pull the x out and I got 4x minus 12. Then I could say 4. I mean, it just depends on when you saw the 4. But it's okay, take it out whenever. So you got x minus what, 3? Okay? So now what you have here is 4x times x minus 3. Okay? And that equals 0. So what we're going to do is now set each one equal to 0. Okay? Because remember, if this equals 0 and this is a number, then 0 times a number is 0. And if this is a number, when this equals 0, then a number times 0 is still 0. So if you set each one of these equal to 0, it's going to make the whole thing go to 0. So 4x equals 0 and x minus 3 equals 0. And it's pretty simple. X equals 0 because I divide by 4 on both sides. And x equals 3. So x equals 0 and 3. And that's your solution set. Okay? With this guy, I'm going to start with dividing by 4. And I get x squared is equal to 12. And just like in SAD/MAD, you do subtraction, addition first, division, multiplication next. And this is when we finally get to use the e. So I'm going to get rid of the square by square rooting it, right? And then I'll square root both sides. What I do to one side, I do to the other, right? So x is equal to the square root of 12. And this is when we come over and we break down 12. And so what goes into 12? 2. 2 goes into 12 6 times. 2 goes into 6, 3. 3 goes into 3, 1. Right? And so then, I circle my pairs. And I'm pulling out 2 for 1, right? So I'm trading these 2 that are inside the radical, right? There's 2 times 2 times 3. I'm pulling these 2 out and bringing them outside. So I've got x equals 2 times the square root of whatever's left not in the radical. That would be 3. So 3 is left inside. So x equals 2 square roots of 3. And I'm so glad I did that for you, Aaron.